So you just finished a hard lifting session. You're drenched in sweat and your watch says that you burned 312 calories. And you think to yourself, that's awesome. That's going to help me burn body fat. And if you build your entire training plan around the number of calories you burn in your workout, you're going to spin your wheels for years. Because here's the truth that most people miss. Fat loss isn't determined by what happens inside your workout. Fat loss is determined by what your body does the other 23 hours of the day. And if you get that wrong, you'll keep chasing bigger calorie burns, longer workouts, and sweatier sessions. You'll work harder, leave the gym exhausted, and wonder why you're not getting the results you want. Once you understand exactly what drives fat loss, you'll train differently. In this video, you'll learn whether or not resistance training actually helps you burn fat, why the calories you burn in your workout matter less than you think, and how building lean muscle quietly increases your metabolism so fat loss becomes easier. So before we get into the science of it, I need you to grasp this one concept. So let's think about your income for a second. Burning calories in your workout is like a bonus. You earned it and it feels good, but you can't always rely on it. When you increase your lean muscle mass, that's like getting a raise. That affects every check moving forward. A bonus is nice for one check. A raise is good for every check. Way too many people are obsessed with the bonus. They're concerned with how many calories did they burn in their workout. They check their watch, they compare with their friends, and they adjust their training plan to the workouts that produce the biggest calorie burn. That's a huge mistake. What changes your body long-term, your paycheck, is the raise. So if fat loss is your goal, you don't need more bonuses, you need bigger paychecks. So let's answer that burning question directly. Does resistance training actually help you burn fat? Yes. Resistance training absolutely helps you burn body fat. There are literally dozens of reviews that show people who strength train reduce their overall body fat percentage, including visceral fat, as compared to people who don't train at all or do cardio only. When you combine strength training with conditioning and a calorie-controlled diet, the results are even better. You lose more body fat, preserve more muscle, and your metabolism is better in the long run. And that last part, your metabolism, that matters more than most people think. Because fat loss isn't just about the number on the scale going down, it's about changing your actual body composition. When you diet and try to lose weight without lifting or resistance training, you're probably gonna lose some muscle too. And when muscle goes down, your metabolism drops as well. So yes, resistance training absolutely does help you burn body fat, but not because you burned that 312 calories in your workout. That's just the bonus. The real win is what happens to your body after the workout. Your body burns calories all day long, just keeping you alive, breathing, thinking, pumping blood, sitting at your desk, answering emails. And that baseline number for your metabolism is called your basal metabolic rate, or your BMR. And the good news is that resistance training actually improves that number. When you build lean muscle, you increase the amount of metabolically active tissue on your frame. Muscle requires more energy to maintain than does fat. Now, it's not hundreds of calories. I don't want to over-exaggerate it, but it does cost more. So if you take two people at the same weight, the person with more muscle mass will probably have a higher basal metabolic rate. They will burn more calories throughout the course of their day. Remember the raise analogy. An extra 75 calories a day is another 500 calories a week. That's more than 2,000 calories a month and more than 25,000 calories per year. That's not a bonus. That's a structural shift. That's your raise at work. Resistance training changes what your body does the other 23 hours of the day, not just the 1 hour of your workout. So let's talk about that common mistake that too many people make, and that's judging your workout by the number of calories burned. Through this lens, cardio usually wins against strength training. You'll burn more calories in a 45-minute conditioning session than you will in a 45-minute strength training session. No debate. But here's the problem with that approach. Your body is designed to become more efficient over time, and so that same 45-minute workout is going to burn less calories as you adapt. It's not because you didn't work as hard, because your body changed and it no longer requires the same amount of energy to produce that level of effort. And that's a good thing. That's what our bodies are designed to do. If calories burned was the most important metric and the number of calories that you burn gets less and less over time because you're adapting, you'd have to be running more than a marathon every day to keep seeing results. And that just doesn't make sense. So while resistance training won't burn as many calories in your workout as conditioning session, resistance training will help you burn more calories every single day moving forward. And that's more important. The workout's the stimulus, and the muscle you build, that's your prize. When you have more lean muscle on your body, you'll have a higher metabolism. And we're not talking about giant differences here. The goal isn't to add so much muscle that you double your metabolism, but small incremental changes to the amount of muscle you have on your frame increase your metabolism, and that difference is huge over time. And that's why obsessing over what your watch or your Fitbit says you burned inside your workout doesn't matter. These devices measure effort through an equation that may not be reflective of the number of calories you actually burned in your workout because it can't account for the adaptation. So let's take this one step further. Weight loss isn't as important as fat loss. If you're losing weight, but you're not resistance training, there's a high probability that you're losing muscle as well as body fat. And that matters because when your muscle goes down, your metabolism goes down with it. And this is why it gets frustrating and when people lose weight and they feel like everything stalls and they've hit a plateau. It's not that your body's broken, it's that you lost the very thing that keeps your metabolism high, muscle. But when you're resistance training, something very different happens. You're sending signals to your body to preserve or build muscle. Strength training also improves insulin sensitivity, which means your body does a better job of pulling in carbohydrates for fuel and recovery. So you take two people and imagine they both lost 20 pounds. One of them did it with strength training, the other did it just with diet. The person who did this with strength training is going to end up stronger, leaner, and more metabolically healthy. And while they may both weigh the same, the person who incorporated resistance training will have a much better shift in their body composition. And that's why we don't chase weight loss. We're chasing fat loss or body composition. Because when you have a better body composition, it makes future fat loss even easier. So, how do you earn your raise? Well, let's start with progressive overload. If the weight never increases, the reps never increase, the difficulty never becomes harder, your body doesn't have a reason to adapt. And if your body doesn't have to adapt, not going to build more muscle. Now, you don't need to max out every single week, but you do need intelligent program design that frequently changes your sets, reps, and intensity levels so that you can continue to see an adaptation. Next, you want to train your major muscle groups at least 2 to 3 times per week. Your muscles respond to a repeated stimulus. And that's why for most people, once a week training simply isn't going to produce any results. And third, consistency over intensity. One brutal week isn't going to produce the lasting results you're looking for, but 12 consistent months can absolutely change your body composition. And this is where most people miss the promotion and miss the raise. They lift and work really hard for about 6 weeks, don't get a raise, and they go right back to looking for a bonus. Muscle is built slowly, and that metabolic shift happens gradually. The compound effect of your efforts will show up over the course of months and years. Yes, resistance training burns calories, but that's not the primary reason that it burns body fat. It's not the burn inside your workout. It's the adaptation to your body over time that allows your body to burn more calories on a daily basis. Better body composition makes fat loss easier. Stop obsessing over the calorie burn inside your workouts and start focusing on building lean muscle. And here's the part that most people don't want to hear. You can build all the muscle you want, but if you don't clean up your nutrition, that's going to be like the taxes that eat up your raise. Yes, muscle changes your metabolism, but your nutrition, think about that's like the taxes, that's going to decide how much of your raise actually shows up in your paycheck. If you want to understand these simple, healthy eating rules that determine whether or not fat loss actually sticks, you need to watch this next video. Check out this video, Healthy Eating Habits, the Simple Rules You're Ignoring.